Let me get real with you guys for a second. Oh my gosh. Now had a son that had a collapsed lung. Do you guys plan on having more babies? My answer is okay. Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I am answering all of your burning questions. I had you guys ask me some questions on Instagram, so tonight we're gonna go through them and you're gonna get to know me a little bit better. It is clearly after bedtime here at the Lee house. Luca is in bed and everyone is just getting cozy, so that's why the vibes are a little bit dimmer today. Let's get started because you guys asked some really good questions. The first question is, what was your full-time job before being an influencer? If you didn't know, in January of 2024, I quit my corporate job to do social media full-time. It was so terrifying, but one of the best decisions I've ever made. I worked in corporate America for probably like 4 or 5 years, and whenever I quit my job, I was working as a customer success manager for a tech company based in San Francisco, and I loved my job. But yes, before social media, I was a customer success manager. I sat at my little desk all day long. I was on meetings all day long. It was a whole thing. Next question, someone asked, how do you handle overstimulation as a first-time mom? Oh my gosh, this is so hard. I have been, honestly, let me get real with you guys for a second. I have actually been struggling with this a lot recently, and it's not overstimulation from like tasks or things that I'm doing. It's like all of these tabs that I have open in my brain, and sometimes whenever like Luca will get upset with something, or they're both crying at the same time, or Layton's freaking out, or Jameson has to work late, it like all bubbles up to the surface and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so overwhelmed. I will say in those moments, whenever I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't take another thing, I try to ask myself, what can I outsource right now? What can somebody else help me with? What can I take off my plate? If I'm ever trying to like watch a show while I'm feeding the baby, while Luca's playing, and then everybody gets upset at once, I'm like, okay, let me turn off the TV. Let me put down my phone, let me put on some calm music, and I really try to see like what can I control about the environment to where I can just keep it calm, because things can get so crazy with two. All that to say, ask for help when and where you can, but if that's not always practical, then I try to ask myself in the moment, okay, what can I do to make this moment calmer right now to help my brain? Okay, next question, when are you planning to sleep train baby boy? Oh, this is such a tough question because he's so little, so like I can't even imagine it right now. Right now he's still waking up every like 3 to 4 hours. He's given us a couple 5-hour stretches before, but nothing crazy. I'm gonna take a look at a couple of the courses and see what age they kind of recommend you starting to work towards independent sleep in the cry it out methods, but I honestly can't even fathom it right now. I'm gonna wait as long as I can because he's just so sweet and little. So right now we're always more than happy to wake up with him and feed him and do whatever he needs, but we're getting like 3 or 4 hour stretches, so I'll see if that ever kind of grows. And if it doesn't, then maybe we'll try to drop a night feeding. And if that doesn't work, then maybe in a couple more months we can work on some independent sleep. But for now, I'm not even gonna put a date on it because I honestly know that it will change probably like tomorrow. Okay, next question, and I knew this one was coming. When are you going to potty train Luca? This is not necessarily a topic that I will be bringing to the internet, but mom to mom, I know that we're all like, okay, wait, what's your plan? What's your plan? I'm waiting until closer to the 3-year-old mark because not only has that been what everyone has told me to do, but I personally don't think he's ready yet, and we just brought the baby home, and so they say that whenever you do too many changes at once, it can cause a lot of regression, and I think that he'll be less likely to regress in potty training once we're a little bit further out. Okay, next question, toddler and newborn tips. I don't even know where to start. I feel like I honestly should be getting tips from some of you guys, but what I will say is that one thing that has helped me the most in the newborn trenches is having a routine, getting myself ready every day, and opening up the house. I think that whenever you have a newborn and the toddler is like halfway running the show, it can kind of feel like everything is just snowballing into chaos. So I try to keep us on a pretty decent routine. I'm not rigid with it, but at least to just kind of keep our days flowing similarly. That helps me, that helps Luca. I know it will eventually help Layton too. So I try to really keep us on like a little bit of a schedule. What I'm sticking to right now is that every single morning, everything is really chill up until about 9 a.m. And then I start to kind of get everybody ready for the day, so that way we can be out of the door to do something by 10. Whenever we're out of the door to do something by 10, that means we can be back for nap at noon. Luca still takes naps. Today he napped for 4 hours. It was insane. So he still needs his nap, and obviously Layton is little and needs 50 naps a day. But I try to be back for nap at 12 so that way Luke is still in his schedule. And then once nap time is over, we just have a couple of hours of playtime before Jameson is off work, and then it's family time. I try to stick to that rough schedule just to kind of keep our days structured so that way none of us go crazy, because Luca and I both get cabin fever so bad. Next question is about filming. What camera do you use for your YouTube videos and how is the quality so good? I use a Sony a6700 and I have a Sigma lens on here. I will say that it was a little bit of an investment, but it was nothing compared to some of the other cameras out there, and I love this setup so much. I'll link everything for you guys. Okay, next question, and one that I got a couple of times, is how is your recovery going now post C-section? Honestly, you guys, I could have never imagined that it would have gone as good as it did. I was so terrified for my C-section. I'm not even going to confess to you the things I was worried about because it sounds so ludicrous, but like I was freaking out the week leading up to my C-section. I went ghost mode on social media because I was panicking. I was researching everything. I was watching a million TikToks. I was reading so many horror stories. I was just terrified. I saw all of these different horror stories and I was just really trying to prepare myself for the worst. And whenever I had my C-section and I had been, like a week postpartum, I was really starting to feel like, oh my gosh, I got this. So now that I'm 8 weeks post C-section, I will say that my body is not the same at all. I'm covered in stretch marks. My incision, of course, is still healing physically and mentally and surgically. I feel really, really good and I'm getting around well. I'm picking up Luca. That was the hardest part, was not being able to hold him. And I just feel really good. It's been a really positive experience and honestly, I wouldn't change it. But yes, doing great. I feel amazing. I'm so grateful to the Lord that it was such a smooth process and smooth recovery because nothing else was smooth. This is a good one and one I get asked often. How do you find the time to film, edit, and post on all platforms, asking for a mama of two? Okay, I get this question all the time because I think a lot of people who want to start social media are like, how the heck do I add on another thing to my plate? And I totally get it. That one thing that helps me to be able to post consistently and to post authentic content is that I am posting and filming things that we're already doing regardless of my job online. What I mean by that is that I would be getting out of the house whether or not I'm filming. I would be doing a nap time reset whether or not I was filming it. I would be doing our evening routine whether or not I'm filming it. So all these things that I post about are things that we're already doing, and they're just things that are like organic to my normal life, and I film them and I edit and post it. And what I will say is that in doing that, I've been able to create this really, really cool community that I'm most proud of. And it's just moms that are all in a really similar season of life. All any of us want is to just feel less alone and to feel like we have other people doing the dang thing with us. So whenever I'm posting my evening routine or my morning routine or getting out of the house with toddlers and it was chaos and it was a disaster, and then one of you guys sees it, you're like, oh my gosh, me too. And I think that that's one of my favorite things about my page is that it's like a community of moms and we're all doing this together and we all get it and have similar struggles. So that's how I'm able to pull it off, is that it's just things that we're already doing, but I just throw my phone on a tripod and film it. Okay, the next question is how to film with a newborn and a toddler. This is particularly hard because I don't show Luca's face online. I just do my best to be conscious of like his online digital footprint. So whenever he's running around the house and I'm in the middle of shooting something, oftentimes I will have to just turn off the camera and do it later because sometimes it's not practical. Like right now I'm filming this video after bedtime. This morning I just filmed our morning routine as we were getting out of the house. I filmed a nap time reset when the boys were both sleeping. So I really try to just like figure out what's gonna work best for me that day so that way I can film content but also still be fully present with the boys. And it's just a give and take. Some days I can't film at all. Some days I'm able to batch film like 4 videos. It literally changes every single week, but I'm just trying to roll with it and figure out like what my new normal is. This is a really good one and I think it's something that people don't talk about enough, but how do you handle comparison to other moms? I personally think that no matter what, everybody struggles a little bit at some point with like jealousy or comparison. I think it's just like a normal human nature thing. But I think especially in motherhood and especially on social media, it is really, really easy to compare your everyday life to somebody else's highlight reel. Whenever I start to feel that comparison creep in with something I saw online or maybe even someone in my real life, what I have to remember is that I just need to take a step back and remind myself that just because somebody else is winning and thriving and living their best life, that doesn't take away from my life and all of the joys that I have and all of the accomplishments that I've made. The two are not mutually exclusive and all of us can thrive together. All of us can live our best lives together. So whenever I'm having those moments of comparison, I try to focus on celebrating celebrating other people instead of just comparing myself to other people. And then it just kind of pulls you out and gives you a new perspective. That's a whole bunch of mumbo jumbo, but it does help me a lot, especially in the motherhood social media realm, because it is really hard. This is potentially a hot topic, but you guys know I tell you everything regarding this. Why did you stop breastfeeding? Let me tell you, I was put through the ringer and I did my best. Ultimately, the reason why I ended up stopping was because I got mastitis 4 times. 4 times. I had to do 3 rounds of antibiotics. I was in misery. It was the sickest I've ever been in my entire life. It was specifically my 3rd round of mastitis that really took me out. The 4th round wasn't as bad, maybe because I was dying the 3rd time. That's ultimately why I stopped. I had the most insane oversupply. My body could not keep up with how much milk I was producing, and I was taking every supplement under the sun to slow it down and to regulate it, but nothing was working. So pretty much every other day I was waking up with some type of clogged duct, and then in turn that would turn into mastitis. That's how I ended up getting it 4 times. It was a nightmare. I had Leighton checked for lip and tongue ties. He had it just the slightest bit, but like almost not even enough to where they could have done anything about it. So that wasn't the reason why. There was, we looked into everything. There's so many things that it could have been, but ultimately I decided I have to call it quits because I could not be a good mom while having mastitis 4 times. It was insane. Okay, the next 3 or 4 questions are all about being an influencer. Do you have an agency and what do they help you with? How do you edit? How do you manage your deals? How long did it take you to start gaining traction on TikTok and making money? How to get started as an influencer? All of the above. Okay, I'm gonna rapid fire a couple things for social media. I edit all of my videos in InShot. I film all of my videos on my iPhone. I film my YouTube videos on the Sony a6700. I do have an agency. I have the most amazing manager ever, Eve. She's one of my favorite people in the world. My agency handles all of the back end work. So she does all of my negotiating. She handles all of my emails. She executes the contracts. She finalizes the timelines. She literally runs my life. But yes, I did sign with an agency, I think when I was around like 50,000 on TikTok. And that's really when I started making considerable money to where I was able to consider starting to quit my full-time job. I got started on social media, actually on YouTube years and years ago, but it never really took off for me. And then whenever I was working my corporate job and I was on maternity leave, I posted my first TikTok and that kind of went viral. And that's what really started the domino effect of me never really stopping filming since that day. I would just say if you're wanting to get started, I don't mean to oversimplify this because I know it is a big mental game and you don't want to put yourself out there and it's also time consuming. But if I were to really simplify it, I would just say buy a tripod on Amazon. They're $30. Put your phone up, film your day, see if you like it, and if it's something that you're interested in and that you have fun doing, post the videos because you never know what could come from it. What is your biggest insecurity as a mom? That's a really hard question. I think this is probably something that a lot of moms struggle with, and I only say that because I've heard people share it, but I think that patience is really freaking hard, and it can really be hard, especially when there's 2 kids that are constantly relying on you for their every need. So I think one thing that I hate and really want to work on is any impatience, especially with Luca, because he's so little, but it's so overwhelming sometimes that it's like you feel like you almost can't help it. So just those moments when I like get frustrated or get short with him, that's something that I've been really trying to work on, and something that, I hate. I want to be more patient. I think we all wish that we were more patient, but if there were an easy way to get patience, then we would all have it. So it's something that I'm working on, and I think it's something that a lot of moms struggle with too. So we're all in this together. Do you guys plan on having more babies? My answer is, I don't know. I am letting myself make 0 decisions for like the next 3 years. I am basically just gonna keep living my life with these 2 precious boys that I already have and see what the next couple of years bring. I will say I've always wanted 3 or 4 kids, but whenever we were in the NICU with Leighton, that honestly changed a lot for me. I love people that are so positive about birth and children, but it's a big deal. It's a big medical event, and I have now had a son with a heart defect. I have now had a son that had a collapsed lung and was at the NICU. So whenever I think about having another baby, it's hard for my brain to not go there and think like, well, will something else go wrong? It's a really weird spot for me mentally because I'm so content with my 2 boys, but I also have always wanted 3 or 4 kids. So I'm just kind of like in an in-between spot. If I could just be handed a perfectly healthy baby, I would have literally 5 or 6 kids, but unfortunately that's not the case. So all of the pregnancy and birth and possibilities are really what kind of hold me back. So I don't know. Maybe I'll know more in like 2 to 3 years. I'm gonna stop there because it is getting way too late and I need to go rot on the couch a little bit because that is what bedtime is for. Thank you guys so much for watching. I love you and I'll see you in the next video.